When an avoidant goes no contact with you, these are the 5 things that they hope you will do. The first is that they hope you will chase them. Deep down, they expect that you are going to be the one to reach out and try to fix things. And this is heavily due to the simple fact that that's how things have been up until this point. You've done it because you know deep down, if you left it up to them, they were not going to do this. So you had to do everything that you possibly could to try to make this work, which meant you were the one that had to break no contact inevitably. And when you essentially do that, it reassures them that they still have an emotional control over you in some way or some form, so they feel comfortable with distancing themselves from you, with not having to worry that you are simply going to just move on, which I know in real time is so hard for you to understand, because this fight or flight response comes up where you have this anxiety feeling that they may simply move on, and you want to make this relationship work because there's a part of you that genuinely loves this person and can see the potential if this avoidant attachment style was able to be worked through. But you have to understand that this is exactly what an avoidant is banking on. They're hoping that you hold on to this so that you don't do what's necessary to prioritize yourself and begin to contemplate moving on from them entirely. The second thing is that they hope that you will question your worth. They want to know that their silence still affects you. The reason why this is the case is because that's what gives them this power. It's not power in the sense that they want to have control over you. It's simply because they want to make sure that if they pull away due to this avoidant attachment style, you aren't going to just simply walk away and just say, you know what, I'm tired of this. And essentially by you being affected by their silence, that gives them this sign and the confidence that you are not at that stage yet where you want to just throw in the towel. So they're looking for some signs that you are showing that you are anxious or in a fight or flight mode whenever they aren't contacting you, because that again is going to give them the evidence that they still have you on the hook in some way or some form. And that's why it's so important for you to not have these knee-jerk responses whenever they do this, because that's what's going to make them feel more and more confident to continue to do this. Essentially, the longer that you stay anxious, the safer they feel in their avoidance. And that's an important thing that you have to remind yourself while you're in no contact with them, because this again tends to be a big test that they're trying to see as to how you're going to respond. So essentially, your overthinking will inevitably feed their ego in the sense that you are most likely going to act out on these and try to reach out to them, or maybe open up a little bit more than you would want to, which again is going to make them feel comfortable with pulling away from you, knowing that there's some type of emotional connection that you still have with them. Which segues perfectly into the third thing, and that is they hope that you will stay emotionally available. You checking their socials, liking their posts, or waiting for them keeps them comfortable. The reason why this is the case is because you are telling them that you haven't really let go. And this is what an avoidant is always looking for. They're looking for subtle signs that they can latch onto to know that you aren't simply just moving on from them in the relationship, because deep down they do want to be in a relationship with you. It's just there's something that caused them to want to pull away from you that you did or said, or whatever they're interpreting that's causing them to want to pull away, and they feel as though they have to continue this until they can come back down to their baseline and want to re-engage with you and try to work things out. So they are always looking out for these signs, and when you give that to them, this makes them feel more confident and comfortable to continue to stay distant from you. And I know that this sounds backwards to you because you feel as though by you liking posts or doing these things, it might cause them to want to reconsider them pulling away and start to think about you and missing you in the relationship. But again, this is not going to have that effect. It's always going to have, for the most part, that opposite effect where they feel like you aren't respecting their wishes, so they're going to continue to pull away from you further. And on top of that, again, you are making them feel confident that they can continue to be this way and you aren't going to just simply move on from them. Essentially, they typically disappear to test if you'll still be there when they return. The fourth thing is that they hope that you will eventually reach out first. They know deep down that you want answers and closure, and because when you were in the relationship with them, due to this avoidant attachment style, you probably got no answers or closures as to why they essentially kept pulling away from you. They would tell you one thing, but deep down you knew that this this wasn't exactly what was going on. It had something to do with whatever was a trigger for them, but they never were really able to disclose that to you. So while you were doing everything that you possibly could and even listening to what they were saying and implementing that, and they still had a response where they wanted to pull away, you know that whatever they were telling you wasn't the real reason as to why they kept pulling away. So of course, you were going to have some questions and things that you want answered as to why they couldn't see the value of you in the relationship and how much you gave them and tried to do everything that you possibly could while they did little to nothing. And this is something that they're hoping as a last kind of ditch effort is going to cause you to want to contact them. And instead of them wanting to process this with you and actually open up and express this, they'll utilize this as an opportunity to potentially try to reel you back in by telling you things that they know you want to hear and taking advantage of you being vulnerable, right? Because deep down, there's still a part of you that would like to make this relationship work, even if you're at your wit's end. Essentially, that's their biggest play on how they will regain their power without ever having to apologize for the way that they have been in the relationship, which is why you most likely come out of these conversations confused, because you seems like the both of you have come to terms with things and you maybe are heading in the right direction, but once they feel comfortable enough to where they feel like things are starting to resume where you guys left it off, that's where this avoidance cycle will tend to come right back up again, and it's only a matter of time before you say something or do something that's only going to trigger this avoidance cycle, and they're going to go right back to doing the same things and inevitably leading you exactly where you are at right now. And the fifth and final thing is that they hope that you won't detach completely. If you stop chasing them and start healing, they lose control of the story, because an avoidant genuinely believes that you were the main problem as to why the relationship didn't work. They believe that you were too needy, that you were asking them too much, whatever excuse that they're trying to conjure up as to why they are justified in pulling away. They genuinely believe that, and they have a confirmation bias where they're looking for different things that aren't really there to prove this point. But when you start to heal and are thriving without them, this is going to inevitably cause this veil to be lifted, and they're going to naturally see how this isn't the case, and that this avoidant attachment style that they adopted is the main culprit as to why this relationship didn't work. And it's in that moment when their anxiety begins to increase, because they realize things really weren't the way that they believed them to be, and they are potentially going to lose the best thing that happened to them, which was you. So they were hoping and banking that you are always going to be connected to them emotionally in some way or some form, and that tends to be why, even though they may go a long period of time without directly contacting you, they'll do subtle things like liking an old post or even posting something on their social media page that they know you will get. And this is their attempt to just make sure that you are connected in some way or some form, because that's where they're able to ease that anxiety that you are not finally prioritizing yourself and understanding what you do and don't want anymore, which potentially could be not engaging in this relationship anymore. Which segues to the most important thing that I hope you can take away from this video, and understanding that them going no contact is the best thing for you. I know that it might not seem this way at first and you're having a lot of anxiety and so many different emotions going on, but the thing is, you need the space away from this relationship to understand what you do and do not want anymore, because you are probably so caught up in this cycle that you can never think for yourself and really asking, do you want to continue to entertain this relationship, or are you tired both emotionally and physically with always having to put all of this effort and them doing little to nothing to work on this avoidant attachment style? Because again, you did everything that you possibly could to try to get them to see this and try to see the value that you brought to both them and the relationship, and they just simply couldn't see it, and that's on them. They're going to realize this at some point in time, and they will have to face the consequences with allowing you to move on because they weren't willing to do anything about it. But at the end of the day, that is not on you. It never was. But what is on you and has always been on on you is yourself and figuring out what is best for you. And that's where no contact gives you that ability to focus on yourself and to really ask what is the best thing that you need to do. And although it might be challenging for you to actually act on that, it's so important for you to do that because deep down you already know the answer to this, and now it's about you having the courage and commitment to sticking to this and following it through. And I promise you, when you look back on this, you will realize that making this decision was the best thing that you did for yourself. I hope that you did find value in today's video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.